Hey, hey, hey. How's it going? It's 6 o'clock Central Time. I hope that you are having a fantastic day today. Hi, hi, hi to everyone. Welcome to a live I Choose Me conversation. We are live on Facebook and we are live on Instagram. I'm Letitia Brown. I am an author, inspirational speaker, and your coach, and I'm here to help you to transform your thinking toward choosing you first so that you can effectively serve others. And I just want to encourage you to please take the time to like, comment, and share this message. And follow me on my social media platforms. I'm on Instagram, I'm on TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. So please, if you will, subscribe to my channels or, of course, any of the other social media platforms where we can partner together. And more importantly, guys, I want you to visit my website at letitiabrown.com. Visit me at letitiabrown.com. Guys, it's a beautiful website. It's easy to navigate through. You can find all kind of tools and all of the videos that I've done to help you along your journey. And also in the website, you can request us to come and host a workshop. We can come to your home, we can come to your church, we can come to your place of business, but we host the Overcoming Procrastination for Success workshops, and we'd like to come and do that with you all. And of course, if you want me to come and speak at one of your events, visiting my website at letitiabrown.com, you can also request me on in that way as well. I love to do that. And listen, not only can I be a speaker at one of your events or an open to do that, but I'm also a coach. And that means I'm a life coach, a business coach, executive coach. And y'all, don't sleep on coaching. Coaching is amazing. It's almost like having a therapist or whatnot. I had an executive business coach. My husband coaches me sometimes, and there's nothing like being able to communicate with someone about things that you're dealing with and maybe that you have questions with and you need answers on how to navigate through it. And some of the people that I coach, sometimes they come in just to share what's going on with their life. Like, it's like, I don't want any answers right now. All I want you to do is to be able to hear me. And so I get really excited when people come in for coaching sessions. So whatever you do, don't sleep on coaching. And then again, thank you so much for supporting what we do here by picking up your copy of Get Up, You Big Fat Procrastinator. I was talking to my daughter about it the other day as you read portions of it, and even when I'm preparing for these sessions, I'm like, oh my God, this information is so good. And she said, yes, Mom, your book is so good. It's so good. And so I just want to thank you for picking it up so that we're able to carry the message of hope across the globe. Today we're talking about, you guys have seen that already, we're talking about overcoming distractions. And I hope this message will touch you in a special way, and it will encourage you for the week as you're solidifying your dreams and making your mark in the world, and you are also overcoming challenges with a lot of courage. So that's what we're all about. And again, I pray that you have a fantastic day, that you're staying safe out there, and that you are at total peace. You're experiencing love and you're experiencing joy, and that you're walking in God's unmerited favor. And I hope above all else in this I Choose Me space that you are choosing yourself, And this whole platform, as you hear me say each week, is about the message is about I Choose Me, right? I Choose Me is about creating a lifestyle of balance for yourself by choosing to be emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually, financially, vocationally, and even dealing with relationships to be healthy first in those areas. Why? So that you can be of service to others. Remember that you matter, and it's okay for you to take care of yourself first. Why? So that you can effectively take care of others. And as I mentioned, we are talking about overcoming distractions, like having different tools of how we can overcome those distractions today, right? And I just want to ask you guys this question. Has this ever happened to you where you're in a room, right? and you have a clear intent or purpose of going into another room to do XYZ 1 2 3 ABC, whatever it is, right? But once you get in there, you completely forget what you went in there for. It's like I go into that room and you know have to ask the question. It's like, what did I come in here for? I hate to say it, that's happened to me more times than I can imagine. But this is actually scientists have come up with a word for it or a phrase for it, and they call it the doorway effect, right? And again, it's one of those situations that if you ever go into a room with a purpose in mind and then you forget what that purpose was or what that reason was upon your arrival, scientists have actually called that the doorway effect. And it's a real symptom that shows that our brains are being overloaded, right? So they had a team of researchers to go in and conduct a series of experiments using virtual reality regarding the doorway effect. And what they found out is that through the series of tests that they ran, that there was no way to tell what experiments, tests, or results related to the doorway effect, right? And what they found out is that you have to be cognitively in a vulnerable state, right, in order to experience the doorway effect. Why? Because if I'm taking a test, I know that I am aware of trying to answer that question. But a lot of times we get distracted because we are vulnerable, cognitively, we're in a vulnerable state, right? We have, our guards are let down. So one of the things that they say, and I say the same thing to you, if you want to avoid forgetting what you went in a room for, try to stay focused and keep the task at the front of your mind until it's done. And that's what the researchers say. And so what I've began to do and will continue to do is to practice going into a room, right? And so what does that mean? Because I go into rooms all day, right? And there is probably once or twice a week where I forget why I went into that room. So to help train my brain, and for some of my senior citizens, I say that too. And you don't have to be a senior citizen. You could be, 15 years old and forget, right? Because we're on, our brains are being overloaded with so much information, right? And let me fix this here. So one of the things that I've started to do as far as practicing is when I go into a room, I'm going in the room to get that book, right? And then I go in the room to get that book. Like I try to stay laser focused on going into that room and getting that book. And it's just a way of practicing staying focused, right? And there's another distraction situation that I'm sure you can relate to as well. And that's because I think that we are overly stimulated by distractions, right? And some of my friends, some of my family, and sometimes we're like, oh my gosh, that ADD or my ADHD is, it's catching up with me. And the truth is that people who actually suffer from that are probably more inattentive, in those situations. But there's some times where, I've been in the kitchen, and I'm sure you can relate to this as well, where I've been in the kitchen and I'm, cleaning up or doing whatever, and then I see something that needs to be moved into the laundry room. And then I go into the laundry room and I place it there, and then I look and I'm going, oh my goodness, I left these clothes in the washer. I need to put them in the dryer. And there's clothes that are in the dryer that needs to, go in the basket. And once they go in the basket, they need to be folded. And once they need to be folded, they, they need to be hung up and put away. And then I look up an hour or so later and I go back into the kitchen and I'm like, wait, what happened here? The kitchen is not clean, but the closet is in order, right? It's like, how did I get to that position, right? But and it happens to us all the time. So I want to encourage you to practice, stand focused. Practice, stand focused. I'm in here to clean the kitchen. Maybe I'll put it to the side for a minute, and then after I finish here, then I'll go in there and take care of some things. Or, sometimes that people get real deep in their head. You know what I mean? And these are people who probably do suffer from some kind of situation where they're more inattentive, meaning that they could be in a business meeting, in a classroom, having conversations with their loved ones or their friends or whatnot, and all of a sudden they start to zone off. They are not as attentive, right? And those kinds of things can really negatively affect you if you're in a business environment, or even if you're in a relationship, a mate kind of environment. It's like, I'm listening, but I'm not listening. So if you need to get help in that area, there's nothing wrong with getting the help that you need. But you want to, if that's you, if you're inattentive, you're not the only person that's inattentive. I get inattentive sometimes. And I think that if it's a serious situation for you, that it's okay to get the mental counseling that you need in order to help you in that area, right? But one of the ways that I help myself, especially if I'm interested in something, whether it's, listening to a lecture or listening to different conversations or whatnot. So I would practice doing this. So if you're talking and I have a tendency to zone out sometimes, I have to talk along with you, meaning repeating what you're saying in my head. So if you're saying something, I'm capturing each one of those words so that I can pay closer attention to what you're saying, and I can respond and be, more aware of my environment and aware of the conversations that are going on with me. Right? And I'm not saying that you talk and I babble behind you out loud, but I kind of just do it to myself so that I can make sure that it's not just words that are going on in my head, but that I'm actually paying attention to what's being said. So distraction in itself, you may be asking, how do you define distraction? Well, distraction is basically something or anything that takes your attention away from what you're currently doing. Now, it could be something that you're doing like right now, or something that you are working on and have, and looking for a future result in it, right? I like what the scripture says. And y'all know I love saying the scripture. Why? Because there's so much wisdom in it, right? In the word, right? But in Proverbs 3:25-27, it says, let your eyes look straight ahead. Fix your gaze directly before you. Give careful thoughts to the paths for your feet, and be steadfast in all of your ways, right? And so let your eyes look straight ahead. That means keep your head straight on any task that you're focusing on. Don't be looking to your left or to your right, because if you do, it can derail you from your goal, right? And how many times do we get distracted? And of course, because we're not keeping our eyes straight ahead, right? And then it says, for fix your gaze. That means to set your eyes, set your focus, and set your goal on whatever that intended task is, right? Fix your gaze. And then also it says, give careful thoughts to the paths of your feet, right? That means that think about where you're going. Think about what you're wanting to do. What's the purpose behind what you're wanting to do? And then when you do that, when you're careful with your thoughts regarding your feet, right? You give careful thoughts to the paths of your feet. That means that there's no wobble room, right? You have to make sure that you're careful about what it is that you're wanting to accomplish. And if you wobble, right? Don't wobble too much, because if you wobble too much, it'll throw you off, right? So, like I said, I just love reading the scripture. And then the wonderful thing about it is that it's, it's something that you can use for everyday life, right? So it is one of those scriptures that just kind of reminds you of how important it is for you to stay focused. And I have a question for you. Are we becoming conditioned to distractions? Are we becoming conditioned to distractions? Like, is the matrix that we're living in now causing us to conform to these distractions? So earlier we talked about some simple distractions that they don't hurt nobody. It's like I'm going into one room and I forget. But what about those dangerous type of distractions, right? And dangerous distractions have consequences. So let's talk about, one of them that has become commonplace, and that's when you're driving, right? And drivers that play on their phone, you see it all the time. They don't pay attention to the road when they should be paying attention to the road. And then defensive driving, if you ever had to take defensive driving, they talk to you about the awareness of other people around you, right? Because you never know who's going to veer into your lane. You never know what's coming from the right or to the left. You don't know if somebody is off course and they're coming straight before you, right? And if you're playing with your phone, you're playing with your phone and the person playing with their phone next to you, and they veer into their lane, into your lane, and you veer into their lane, that's an accident waiting to happen that doesn't have to happen if we avoid that distraction, right? And then for the young people, if you got friends bouncing around in your car and playing loud music and jumping around, you got to be aware of that kind of stuff because your life depends on it, right? And so not only can the consequence be an accident, but it can also mean you can go to jail for it. You know what I mean? Because, I've seen where kids, have alcohol open containers in their car and they're underage and they end up having to go to court, maybe go to jail. And there's a whole bunch of circumstances that happen when you get distracted because you're playing with your phone while you're driving. And there's another dangerous one that I just want to bring to your attention. And this is for those people who like to go to clubs or to bars. And when you go to clubs and bars, your guards are down, your antennas are down. They're all the way down because you're there to have a good old time, right? But in the club, I've heard of this situation, and I'm sure you've heard of it too, where you're dancing and you're bouncing around and you're having a good time. And then, you got a couple of drinks on the inside of you, and you're having a good time. And then there's this girl comes, your girl, right? And the girl comes to you and they're like, let's dance, let's party. And y'all having a good time. And you're like, oh my gosh, I met a new friend or what have you. And then you look up and she said, well, let's go outside. I want you to meet my friend. And you don't know that girl, her responsibility is to go into clubs and to get girls and then get them to these guys or these people who are trafficking young women, young beautiful women. So my encouragement to you, of course, is to always have your head on a swivel, always have your gaze fixed, right? And then how about those people that want to buy you drinks all the time? And I hear girls all the time talking about, I want a guy who's going to buy me a drink, and not paying attention, and somebody slips you a Mickey and you end up, being taken advantage of. You understand what I'm saying? Or that, you're being trafficking. And I'm saying trafficking because we're in the city of Houston. I'm in the city of Houston, and there's a high percentage of people. It's really big. We're one of the top trafficking cities in the country, and that's just something that you guys need to make sure that you are aware of those type of distractions, right? And then how about, mommy or parental distractions, like dealing with your kids? People are snatching children right out of their little strollers. You know what I mean? You're in the store, you turn your head for 1 second, baby gone. You take your kid to the park, you turn your head for a second, baby gone. So it's important that we make sure that we avoid as many distractions as we can and continue to pay attention to our children and be attentive parents, right? And here's one as far as parental distractions. Like, we get so caught up with life that, and then of course we need to take care of ourselves, but we're all in our phones and on TV, and we look up and our child has been bullied. They're being bullied, they're being cyber bullied, and they're being bullied in their school. And then you look up and you wonder, what happened to make my child want to unalive themselves? Do you guys get what I'm telling you? Right? So it's important that you're paying attention as a parent and that you avoid as many distractions and do what you need to do to make sure that your gaze is focused on what's important. And then on the flip side, your kid could be the one that's the bully, right? They're out there hurting people. They're cyberbullying. They're being nasty on the internet. And if you look, trust me, you'll find. Most parents don't, they're like, I'm not going to take the time to look. But if you look, children are, they don't know how to hide stuff as well as they think they know how to hide. You as parents, you know how to, find out what's going on with your children, right? And then I don't know if you guys are aware of this new kind of thing that they're doing where they're putting these toxins and fentanyl and whatever on cloths. You remember how back in the days, they would put little flyers on your windshield, come to this party, or, I got this event or whatever, and you pick it up and maybe you put it in your car, and for those who are litterers, they'll throw it down or whatnot. But nowadays you have to be careful because they use those same kind of tactics to harm people. So just kind of be aware of where you're going and that you're not distracted. And then of course there are people of influence distractions, right? That we're so busy watching people who are unhealthy, and we're falling through a dangerous territory because of maybe their unhealthy music. They got I got this Birkin bag and this one, and I got 100 of them, and diamond rings and shiny cars, and we think as young people that that's a cool thing to do. No, it's like, what's their purpose? Their purpose is to distract you, right? To turn you away from your normal inclinations, intuitions, so that they can trap you into their web, right? So it's important that you are watching people of influence who can distract you from doing the things that you're supposed to do. And then, of course, we talked about the smartphone distractions. I believe that we are on information sensory overload, right? That information sensory overload, where there's so many advertisements, the FYPs, the For You pages, hit the bell for notifications to be notified when I post something, text alerts, and just information sensory overload, right? And then we stay up all night watching TikTok and Instagram and YouTube, and then we share it with your friend group in the middle of the night, and the distraction is that you don't get a good night's rest. I'm guilty. I'm guilty of a lot of these things. So it's not just you, it's me and just about everybody else that's on this platform, right? Or how about that person who is addicted to their phone, right? They can barely lift their head and have a normal conversation with you because they got their phone in their hand, and they're so engrossed in other people who are across the globe who are dancing. Or dogs that talk, or cats that are walking on two legs, or someone fighting at a gas station, or we're watching the latest, challenge, or we're engrossed in all kind of political news, right? These are all examples of unhealthy distractions that prevent us from being our best. And you may be asking, well, are there any good or healthy distractions? Of course there is. The answer is yes. Perhaps that you've been grieving, depressed, you have constant negative conversations that infiltrate your mind, or maybe if you break a bone and the doctor said turn your head, and they try to reset it or whatever, or maybe you see your kid on a path of destruction and you try to find ways to get them back on course. Sometimes you need those healthy distractions, right? And so for people who are dealing with depression and anxiety, you need to have those distractions that are like meaningful activities, like getting dressed and going for a long walk, or join a dance class, or some type of activity that disrupts or distracts you from the feeling of depression and anxiety, right? What about having those negative conversations in your head? I don't normally have that anymore. The other day I had a little bit of a breakdown, or I said the other day, it was weeks ago, where I cried before my family, and I was like, hey, just kind of going through, and I just needed to release that. Sometimes you need to do that, but I've learned how not to join forces with any negative conversations that are going on in my head. And what I used to do back in the days was watch funny shows. And one of them was I Love Lucy. I used to just watch that, and that will help me back then to get over some of the negative conversations that are in my head. And then, of course, there are people who are dealing with grief. I understand that. So maybe a healthy distraction is your friends or your families. They come to pick you up, get you out of the house, help you to be active so that you can start living life again. And I like this one as an athlete coach. You or your team members, y'all had a poor game. Somebody, maybe it's you missed the last shot for the game winner. You hit the ball out of bounds for the game winner. You threw an interception for the game winner, and you're just in your head. You think the worst about yourself. You think all kind of horrible things about yourself. And then all of a sudden the coach comes in and they put their hand on your shoulder and they say, listen, you don't make the shot if you don't take the shot. You know what I mean? You don't hit that ball in the court if you don't go up and swing hard. The next time you'll get it. You're the kind of person that I want on my team that is fearless and that is willing to go out there and try it. Well, and so that just feels so good, and it boosts people's confidence. So that's another healthy type of distraction, right? And these kind of distractions that I talked about, they help you with getting out of your head. Now, there are distractions that also prevent you from choosing you first. Now, this first one is going to sting a little bit. It'll sting a little bit. But some of us are involved in ministry or have been involved in ministry, right? And we do it sometimes by forsaking and neglecting our own personal needs as well as the needs of our family for the sake of the church. Now, believe me, I am not against sacrifice or volunteering or working for the ministry so that people can feel important and comfortable when they come into the Lord's house, right? There's nothing more unattractive than going into the church and there's no air and we're all hot, right? Or the chairs and the pews are all busted and there's trash on the floor and there's no direction or order and it's pure chaos in the house of the Lord. So it takes a lot of sacrifice and it takes a lot of hands to make sure ministry works effectively. But I'm talking about that person who sacrifices all of their freedom solely and gives it all to the church. And here's the thing. You can make a decision to do something else. It's okay. The church or the business or whatever it is you leave will find someone else to replace you anyway, right? There's a whole big world out there. Yes, volunteer. Yes, participate. Yes, make sacrifices. Yes, help out. Do all of those things. But don't forsake yourself in the midst of it, right? Because what's going to end up happening is that you give, and you look up one day and you haven't filled your own self up, and then you are regretting having spent that time doing that. So I just want to encourage you, have a healthy balance, because that's what the Choose Me message is all about, is having and living a balanced, healthy lifestyle so that you can be of service to other people. Now, trust me on it, because I've been there and I know what I'm talking about. So how about wanting to eat healthy and exercise? These are other distractions that prevent you from choosing you first, right? So you're doing all good and you're eating clean and you're drinking clean. And then you look up and you see cookies and cakes and a bunch of fried food in your house that clogs your arteries. That's me. I'm guilty of that sometimes, where the sweet tooth gets, to me a little bit. But it's important that these common distractions that we have, that we try our best to avoid them, because it's important for our health goals and it's important for the family's health goals. Well, how about another one, relationship distraction, right? And how it can affect you mentally, emotionally, and you're in this unhealthy relationship with somebody, right? And a lot of times you stay because you don't want to be alone, but that staying in that relationship is distracting, and it's distracting you from your peace. It's distracting you from being confident, because he or she is a psychopath, right? They are jealous, they're needy, conniving, toxic, codependent, controlling, and they're all into digital monitoring, right? They want to know your password, want to know where you are, want to know who you're talking to, who you have become friends with, digitally. And then the other one is they clock you. Like nowadays, you can tell where you share your location with your friends and maybe the people that you're in a relationship with. And they're like, okay, so she's there, he's there. Okay, so they're on their way. And you're constantly monitoring, and that's not healthy. That's not a healthy relationship, right? And this is important for you to be aware of it so that you can find your pockets of peace and that you can make decisions that will help you to be mentally and emotionally healthy, right? And then there's vocational distractions at work as well. Right? So you have relationships, with your people, you want to be healthy, you have maybe church, there's a whole kind of distractions, right? I'm just giving you a few examples, right? And then, vocationally, right? So there's this ideology that's called scope creep, right? So in the project management systems, right, you have all, like, you and other stakeholders that are involved in a project, you guys have made a decision that this is the agreement that we're going with regarding a specific project, right? And it has all the, maybe the budgets, all the facts that are involved in it, the design, the layout, timelines, and all of that, right? And then all of a sudden somebody wants to come in with some unauthorized features and functions for this particular project, and they want to add it to it. And that's an unhealthy type of distraction to that project, right? Why? Because you can miss project deadlines, right? The budget is increased, and then now we have to make all of these adjustments, right? And so if you're the kind of person that's in a job, for instance, again, that affects everybody. It affects the entire project. And then if you are the one that's the head of it, now everything is up on your head. So it's important for you to make sure that you are following, keeping your eyes fixated on what goal it is that you're trying to portray or try to have regarding projects that are in the workplace. And if you're at a job, for instance, right, and you find out that there's room for growth, but you don't know how to set healthy boundaries. So you have people coming in and messing up your scope to your project. And then, maybe you are distracted by people that come to your desk and they hang out with you and they want to keep talking and they want to gossip in the break room with, about other employees. And once you are seen as that person, I'm doing the little air quotes there, that kind of thing, it prevents you from moving up as well, right? You can't, handle your projects and you're gossipy with people and you can't stay focused, right? So if your goal is growth in your business, learn how to set healthy boundaries in the workplace. And one of the biggest distractions in the workplace, listen to me, young people, it's cell phones, right? With your texting and your social media, put the phone down. If you are an organization, your company, it's okay to say to your employees, like, no phones are out. Y'all can have your earbuds in, but that phone has to go in that desk. Do you guys understand that? I hope you guys are getting it. I hope you guys are getting it, right? And then there are also distractions from your life goals, right? You have a desire, you have a dream, you have a goal, right? And life happens that prevents you from experiencing some of your life goals. A lot of times when you are in, like, you have life goals, whatever it is, dealing with finances, dealing with relationship or whatever, and there's a whole bunch of things that are vying for your attention and you get distracted, and you sometimes can't see it when you're in it. So you could be right dead smack in it and you can't see it. So sometimes it's important for you to step away from it so that you can see what distractions are holding you back from being successful toward your dreams and your desires and your goals, right? And unfortunately, a lot of people don't see the issues until it's too late. They don't realize those issues until it's 30 or 40 years down the line. And then you start regretting some things. You're all full of these, woulda, coulda, shoulda mantras, right? And for me personally, I can't even understand how our children are almost 30 years old. That blows my mind. Sometimes I want to say, y'all, let's go back. So when you first started school, not during the pamper time, not that time, but when you first started school, and let's go back and see if I can avoid some of the distractions that I had as a young woman growing up so that I can fulfill all of the life goals that I thought that I wanted, but I didn't do it because I was involved in so many distractions. But guess what, guys? It's never too late. You can start right where you are, right? And you may be asking, well, what do we need to do in order to avoid distractions or overcome them? There's nothing more important than having a complete awareness about what you are doing. Take an inventory of your life and ask yourself the question, where am I right now? What am I doing right now? I like to call it like chronicling your life and chronicling your time. Am I healthy mentally? Do I have the proper coping skills when the stresses of life happen, right? And am I emotionally healthy? This is you taking an inventory of your life. Am I emotionally healthy? Do I have a level of awareness and control about how I think and how I feel about certain things, right? Am I spiritually healthy? Am I doing things that help to feed my soul? Do I have a prayer life? Do I have a meditation life? Am I spending time reading the Word of God, if that's what you do, right? Am I physically healthy? This, you again take an inventory. What is my current eating and working out regimen? What does that look like? Financially, am I experiencing financial comfortability, or am I struggling big time? Vocationally, am I working and doing what I enjoy doing and earning the kind of money that I want to enjoy? And relationally, am I in a healthy, thriving, and loving relationship with the people who are around me? So, beloved, take inventory of what's going on in your life right now, and then also take a look at what's around you. Is this what you want? Are you organized and have some kind of order or checklist of how you want to make sure that your house and your businesses are ran? Do you have a checklist so that you can check off those tasks? And are there distractions that are around you that can be eliminated, right? Like on your phone, you can silence alerts. You can turn off the volume. You can, in your home, you can clean up and organize your workspace in your home space, because dirt and disorganization is a big distraction. Unless, of course, you've gotten comfortable in that dirt. Unless you've gotten comfortable with that disorganization, right? But they're all a big distraction, and it prevents you from being your very best. Can you focus and be in the now without doing 3,500 things at the same time, or what we think that we're doing them at the same time? And we try to call it multitasking, right? So take a look at the things that are around you and think about who you really want to be. Are you wanting to accomplish a certain thing? Do you know what it is? Is there anybody that's stopping you from doing that besides you? And yes, there's some negative environments in schools and negative things that are happening in school and conversations that are in a family that can hold you back. I did a case with the Los Angeles Child Protective Services, and when I was reading some of those files, I was just, my heart was broken because of things that happen in people's lives, especially when dealing with children. But listen, when you become of age and you get the help that you need, you can break free from all of those situations. And there's nothing that can hold you back from being all of what you were called to be, right? And I want to help you. You have to live a life where you're learning, where you're growing, and that you're not in a spot where you're just gossiping and then indulging yourself and you're entertaining yourself. If you are, you're like a zombie if you're not, constantly learning and growing. I like what the scripture says in Luke 21:34. It says, "But watch yourselves, lest your heart be weighed down with dissipation and drunkenness and cares of this life, and that day come upon you suddenly like a trap." It's not until you are of a certain age that you realize that, man, I succumbed to a whole bunch of distractions that prevented me from reaching my full potential, right? And then you want to roll up in a ball and cry. Cry. Why? Because you wanted to be XYZ. You wanted to be the president of this company. You wanted to have this business. You wanted to, be a doctor. You want to be a lawyer. You want to be a fireman. But you're too distracted to go to school or to finish school, right? You roll up in a ball and cry when it's late because you wanted to design clothes, right? But you were distracted by the noise of everybody else telling you that you weren't talented enough or there's not enough room in the industry for it, right? You ball up because someone is forming an opinion about you. They put you in this box, and I've seen this time and time again. And it's not until that person that's put in that box is in a healthy, thriving, conducive environment where their growth can occur that they are in a healthy place. I've seen it. You're in a box, you can only do this, but you get into another environment, it's like, is that same person? Oh my gosh, they are amazing. It's because they're in a growing and healthy environment, right? You look up because you wanted to live a single lifestyle and travel all over the world, but you got distracted because your friends and your family that said that and the only way for you to be happy is to have a mate and to have children, and that's not the case, right? You wanted to live a young, free lifestyle and travel the world. So the question is, what's your big picture, beloved? What are some of the things that are preventing you right now from seeing it and ultimately attaining what that big picture is? And here's the thing that sets the successful people apart from the ones who lack diligence, and that's discipline. John C. Maxwell said it like this: most people want to avoid pain, and discipline is usually painful. Why is discipline so painful? It's painful because it's like a muscle, and if you don't use that muscle, it will atrophy, and atrophy will set in, and it takes much painful effort in order for you to redevelop or train that muscle again, right? And so that's what discipline is, that if you don't do it, that there's a lot of painful effort that's involved in order for you to become disciplined. I like what Muhammad Ali said. I said it last week or the week before. He said that I hate training. I hate it. But I know that I have to do it because in the end, I'll be a champion, right? And so in my book on page 97 of Get Up You Big Fat Procrastinator, I encourage you to read it about discipline and how it can enhance your life. I coined this phrase that I like to call the DOS effect. It's D plus A equals S. Discipline plus action equals success. And if you are disciplined in a certain area and you act upon it correctly, you will experience success. My husband, for instance, he's working on this project, and I have never met anybody as diligent as he is with coming up with a project and then completing it to absolute perfection, to where people come all around and they're like, wait, that's not how that's supposed to be done. And he's like, yeah, that's how it's supposed to be done. And you keep going until it's absolutely excellent, right? He's disciplined in it. He's putting in the action. And then, of course, he's experiencing that success, right? So in order for you to overcome distractions, you can do it through awareness and discipline. And discipline is a self-enforced behavior that you create through correct actions. You want to do it the right way all the time. So in the discipline, I want you to reimagine how you look at things. And I want you to find 3 fantastic things about what you lack discipline in, or what you where you want to experience a healthier, balanced lifestyle, and work on them for the next week. That's your assignment. I'm your coach. That's your assignment for the week, right? If phones are distractions while you drive, set your music or your talk shows early on your phone, and then, while you're parked, and then set your phone on silence while you drive, or, do everything by voice command. So if that's a distraction to you, let's adjust that. If your bedroom is a mess, for the next week, make up your bed and tidy up your room. If you go to dinner with someone and you have, you're the kind of person that always has your phone out, put your phone up. Got it? You're picking 3 things. If you're working on a business, get out your timer and set it for 2 hours, 30 minutes without interruption. Whatever it is, however many minutes, you do it without interruption. And if you want to eat healthy or drink healthy or work out, set your intention to drink water every day. Don't bring any sweets in the home. Drive past that fast food restaurant, get out of bed and do 10 push-ups, stretch, and breathe. Y'all get the picture, right? Y'all get what I'm saying, right? So you overcome distractions through awareness and discipline. Tell yourself, this is what I'm going to do, and then do it, even if you have to set a timer. Be aware of your actions and your environment and set your intentions. Number 3, work on your self-discipline and remember the DOS effect. It's a phrase that I coined: discipline plus action equals success. Number 4, take 3 things that you are constantly distracted with and make a conscious effort to flip the script and remove or adjust the distraction for just a week. And then do it for the next week. And take note, be aware of the benefits of that new behavior, right? And then do it another week. and then eventually it will become a habit and become your new norm. Right? So tell yourself what you're gonna do, what you're gonna do. Be aware of your actions and your environment. Work on your self-discipline. Remember the DOS effect, and do those 3 things, right? And do it all week long, and then do it the next week. And then take notes on how you're feeling or how your environment is changing when you do those things. And then eventually it will become a new norm for you. Well, I hope I said something that will help you on your journey for this upcoming week. Please, please, please share with other people. Listen to this in its entirety. I'm sure it's going to bless your life. And that's what we're all about. We're here to spread hope, especially in this environment where it feels hopeless, right? But I'm here for you. Visit my website at LetitiaBrown.com. Contact me. I want to hear from you. And if you haven't noticed, I got this new merchandise on. Go to my website. It's there. There's a whole bunch of new products there. Pick up your I Choose Me items. We appreciate you so much. I wish you well. And if you're being encouraged by this channel, please feel free to tell other people about it. God bless you real good now. Take care. Bye-bye.